Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll start with this. Eddie Hearn's recent comments on Ryan Garcia's ongoing situations, I should say. It's not my business, but someone's gotta help him. Because you know after the Devin Haney fight, when he told everybody that it was all an act, can we all acknowledge now that it wasn't an act? Because he's still behaving like that 8 weeks on. Hopefully someone who cares for him can put their arm around him, take him away from social media, get him on holiday, get him the help he needs, because if you can't see that his behavior is
Immature?
uncharacteristic, then you're a fucking idiot. Imagine that was your son, your brother, your friend. Wouldn't you be saying, come on, put the phone down, let's go? But no, people want to feed off of him. People want to make money off of him. There's too many yes men around him. The kid needs help. In my opinion.
It just seems immature to me.
Now, I can understand that Ryan's going through a tough time right now due to his mother's diagnosis, but we can't chalk up his behavior to his mother's diagnosis when he's been behaving like that since before she was diagnosed. That this is Ryan Garcia.
And I don't know that this is a mental health issue more than it's a maturity issue.
Ryan Garcia is 25 years old, but he behaves and carries on like a 15-year-old, like a teenager, and that's not surprising in this day and age, this digital era, where most everything is justified in these youngsters' minds, so long as it moves the needle, so long as it brings in metrics and gets them attention. They're willing to say anything, do anything.
It's not just him.
If that makes him mentally ill, then I guess that's a shared illness that most youngsters have here today.
Oh, he's got a lot on his plate.
Not saying that he doesn't, but some of it he brought on himself. Like the whole bit about the Ostarine coming from his supplements. You know, at first, he was trying to blame Eddie Hearn. He was trying to blame the Haneys and Victor Conti. Then they said it came from his supplements. In regards to that...
Do you remember when I told you that NUTRABIO as a company and Mark Garcia wasn't going to take this lying down?
NUTRABIO's social media account recently posted, independent lab testing by Eurofins and BSCG confirms no Ostarine was found in NUTRABIO Supercarb. NUTRABIO CEO and founder Mark Garcia released the following statement regarding allegations made by Ryan Garcia. NUTRABIO categorically rejects the reckless claims made by professional boxer Ryan Garcia and his team that the NUTRABIO Supercarb product caused Mr. Garcia's positive test for Ostarine. Our company has consistently maintained a rigorous quality control process. NUTRABIO has never manufactured a supplement with Ostarine and has never brought Ostarine into our manufacturing facility for use in any product. Ever. We have a long-standing commitment to producing the highest quality supplements trusted by athletes worldwide. A retain of the Supercarb lot in question has been tested for Ostarine at ISO 17025, accredited laboratories by Eurofins and BSCG Banned Substance Control Group, both of which are leading independent third-party testing providers. The testing confirmed there was no Ostarine detected in the product. Any expressed or implied statements suggesting that our product contained Ostarine when it was sold are completely unfounded. Making defamatory statements about our product and brand that rely on test results done on an unsealed, expired container handled by the accused individual have no credibility. Further, the minuscule amount of Ostarine allegedly detected in the open container of supercarb does not explain the amount of Ostarine identified in Ryan's urine, which at 6 nanograms is 60 times the testing limit.
What does this do to Ryan's story?
The credibility of Ryan's story, and will the people at the New York State Athletic Commission take this into consideration? That where Ryan is saying it came from his supplements, the supplement manufacturer has done their own testing, covered their own asses.
They're not gonna let you drag their name in the mud so you can get out of this.
We already talked about this at length, that in Ryan breaking the chain of custody,
You didn't clear your name, and anybody that thinks you did is a fucking moron.
and anyone making any assertion of Ryan's innocence in this situation is either somebody who really, really, really wants to believe that, or just some jackass playing devil's advocate.
Think you're smart?
Or worse,
What?
blood-sucking parasitic content creators hoping that if they defend Ryan, they can siphon his followers to follow them.
Ridiculous.
I'm no expert. I don't claim to be. But when I look at Ryan Garcia, he doesn't seem like a guy who's got a mental illness. He seems like a guy who thought nothing would catch up to him, that he couldn't be touched because he's so popular.
That's how these social media influencers are.
And in a very general sense, that's how the youth culture is today. And who does Ryan Garcia appeal to the most? The youth, the youngsters, the boneheads, the bozos,
The attention whores?
the clout demons and narcissists who spend all day pointing a camera at their own face, marveling at their own features, the vapid and soulless meat sacks selling skin for a few bucks online.
Who does he appeal to?
Nobody of age and nobody with 2 functioning brain cells, because it's very easy to see that not only did he not clear his name,
Based on him blaming this on NUTRABIO, he looks even more guilty.
no, first it was the Haneys and Victor Conti. They set you up. You even dragged Eddie Hearn into this. Then after that didn't work, you tried to blame it on NUTRABIO.
So which one is it?
I just see a very popular, albeit immature young man who thought he could get away with something.
Didn't realize you can't just run around blaming people like this, defaming people like this.
It doesn't help that the sport of boxing seems to have a revolving door policy on fighters who test positive for banned substances, which might explain his blasé behavior towards this whole fiasco.
That could be a contributing factor.
But cavalier youth culture could be yet another, because that's who he appeals to, and he himself behaves like a youth when he's in his mid-20s, when he's a grown man.
So I'm not playing him the violin the same way that Eddie Hearn is.
I just see a bullheaded, immature young man who likely was looking for a competitive edge. He thought he could get away with it, he thought he could beat the test, and he didn't. Elsewhere in the super lightweight division, Eddie Hearn has revealed that he's advised Devin Haney to defend his WBC super lightweight world title versus Sandor Martin next, rather than unify with Subriel Matias following the Ryan Garcia defeat. I don't think Matias is the right fight for Devin right now, coming off that defeat. I'm not saying Devin wouldn't fight Matias, he would. I believe Martin is the right fight. It all depends on what we're talking about. Is it the right fight compared to Matias? Yes.
Compared to that one, you don't eat a bunch of left hooks from Ryan Garcia just to eat more hooks from Subriel Matias. Ryan beat you. Subriel, he might damage you permanently.
And in a very general sense, even before he lost to Ryan Garcia, I said stylistically, Devin would be at a great disadvantage against Subriel because Devin is a pure boxer and Subriel is a pressure fighter. Pressure fighters, more often than not, wear out pure boxers and outside fighters, outside cutie pies.
Not always, but usually. Usually that's how it goes.
And that's how I thought it would go for Devin Haney before he lost to Ryan Garcia. More so now, this kid can't crack an egg. I'm sorry to say, but Devin's got no pop, no power, nothing to keep Subriel Matias off of him.
Did you guys actually see the fight where Matias suffered his first professional loss? That guy hit him with everything but the kitchen sink.
He landed with a lot more authority than Devin Haney would. Devin Haney, who took Jorge Linares and Yuriorkis Gamboa the distance. These are two of the chinniest guys in the lightweight division, and Devin couldn't stop them.
He's at super lightweight now.
I'm not trying to kick him when he's down or pile on. I'm just saying that this was always a fight where I never liked Devin's chances. Stylistically, the way it looks at 140, it looks like Devin may have the right style for Teofimo. Teofimo may have the right style for Subriel, and Subriel may have the right style for Devin. That's the way it looks, as styles make fights, and some other outlying factors like at what level the fighters compete with their base styles, as well as durability. How durable are the fighters? Can they take a punch? And what about their cardio, their fitness?
Their power.
Or the lack thereof, their speed.
Or the lack thereof.
I've noticed over the years that Devin has tried to diversify his skill set. He engages more than your average pure boxer does, mid-range to inside, but it's been to his detriment that when he steps into his jab and tries to bring other punches over, he's not the same guy as when he's hanging back.
He's vulnerable.
Tried to mix it up with Jorge Linares and ate a clean right hand that had him hurt for at least 2.5, maybe 3 rounds. And what about the Lomachenko fight?
Yeah.
He tried to engage with Lomachenko, and I don't care what people say. I think Lomachenko won that fight. I saw him land more punches than Devin.
He's no good mid-range to inside. He just doesn't land with enough authority to mix it up in the pocket, but he tries.
If he tried that with Subriel, he'd get put in the hospital. He'd get put in the fucking hospital.
Simple as.
Eddie Hearn advises that he fight Sandor Martin instead. Just so happens Sandor's is mandatory. He has to fight him if he wants to keep the green belt.
That's not pay-per-view worthy.
It's not a good stylistic matchup. It doesn't make for a great TV fight, and he might have to take a haircut on the money as well.
He's coming off a loss.
He has to rebuild, but he still is WBC champion, as his loss to Ryan Garcia technically didn't happen at 140 pounds. Ryan didn't weigh 140.
So Devin didn't lose his belt.
The WBC chose not to vacate it. They let him keep it. And if he wants to keep it, he's got to fight Sandor.
What's that fight gonna look like?
I shudder to think. 2 pure boxers, 2 outside economic fighters, the way I see it. With Devin's propensity to break character and step into his jab, bring other punches over, you might see a situation where he gets aggressive with Sandor, because Sandor's not a big puncher, not big on power, not big on activity.
He doesn't have a bunch of knockouts. You're not under threat of being knocked out, not with Sandor.
That might be enough that Devin Haney feels comfortable getting aggressive and stepping into his punches. Tack on that he is taller, he is longer, he's got more wingspan, thus more ring coverage. It might be a situation where Devin gets aggressive with Sandor. He pushes the issue. Though because neither of them are knockout merchants, in all likelihood, it goes the distance.
I'd pick Devin to win that fight, but aesthetically, I don't know how fun it would be to watch.
I'm going to assume that since Eddie Hearn is providing counsel to Devin Haney, such a fight might land on DAZN.
Well, I thought Devin was a free agent, and I thought Sandor was with Top Rank.
He is. To my knowledge, he still is. But do you really think Top Rank wants to have to foot the bill for that fight?
You think they want to be on the hook for that thing?
Not really, but somebody has to be for it to happen, so maybe Matchroom does it at a moderate price.
Or maybe Devin does it on the Top Rank side of things, provided he promises to face Teofimo next.
A packaged deal. Maybe under those circumstances, Top Rank would do it. Just bouncing ideas around, thinking aloud, cause thinking's allowed. They both need a big fight. Devin's fighting Sandor. Lopez is fighting Claggett.
Yeesh.
They both need a big fight. And finally, elsewhere in the world of boxing, Caleb Plant and Stephen Fulton are reportedly being targeted to return on August 10th or the 17th in what would be the first non-pay-per-view PBC show on Amazon Prime Video, according to Dan Raphael.
We talked about this.
I touched on it in passing in a previous video that I had heard a rumor that the PBC was planning on doing a non-pay-per-view show in late summer, but they were cutting back on operational costs. Something to do with what cameras they would, or in this instance, wouldn't be using for the production.
Real mom and pop shop stuff.
If they do come back in August, for the both of them, for Caleb, for Stefan, it will have been over a year's time since either fighter saw action. Oh yeah, it's been a year since Stephen Fulton lost to Naoya Inoue. I think it's already been a year since Caleb Plant lost to David Benavidez. Rumor had it that Caleb Plant was offered a 7-figure purse to fight Danny Jacobs.
On Amazon?
No, on the undercard of Masvidal versus Nate Diaz, their boxing match, that the event coordinators offered him a 7-figure purse to fight on that show against the 37-year-old inactive Danny Jacobs, and he turned it down.
Where'd you hear that?
Rick Glacier was talking about it earlier this week, that it was foolhardy of Caleb to turn that money down, as Danny Jacobs, he is a familiar face, a recognizable fighter, and given that he hasn't fought in such a long time, now would have been an opportunistic time to fight him, because Caleb needs a rebound fight, a winnable fight.
A fight between them would have grabbed people's attention. Two former IBF champions, Danny at 160, Caleb at 168.
That they offered Caleb something in the neighborhood of $1 million to fight on that show, and he turned it down. Context is key. It's $1 million to fight a 37-year-old inactive Danny Jacobs.
That was the rumor.
But he turned it down, so who's he fighting, you ask?
I heard he's gonna fight Jesse Hart.
And who is Stephen Fulton going to be fighting?
I heard he's fighting Ronnie Rios.
So this is supposed to be the first non-pay-per-view show that PBC does on Amazon Prime. I remember initially they said that was going to happen this month, that they were going to do a non-pay-per-view show this month. As it turns out, it got pushed all the way out till the end of the summer, towards the end of the summer. The PBC is still slugging along, doing what they can.
Seems like it's only a matter of time before they go under, though.
It's not a pay-per-view, so I'm wondering how are they going to pay these guys? Based on how things have been, it doesn't look like Amazon is giving them any money. It's just a distribution deal. And if that's the case and they're not giving the PBC any money, who's paying for this show? Who's on the hook for this? And how are the fighters going to get paid?
With a pay-per-view, it's self-explanatory. You put the money up, hoping that you get it back when people buy the pay-per-view.
But if this is not a pay-per-view, then who's paying for the show? Who's paying for the production, the fighters' purses, the whole shebang-a-bang? Who's on the hook for all of that? Where's the money coming from?
Questions that need answers.
Who else is fighting on that show besides Caleb and Stephen Fulton? Because we know that Isaac Cruz and Rayo and David Morrell and Andy Ruiz,
They're booked.
they're fighting on the undercard of Crawford versus Madrimov.
So they won't be there.
Those two shows are supposed to be going down the same month. But who else is appearing on that PBC on Amazon show besides Caleb Plant and Stephen Fulton? And even if the PBC survives for a little longer, how long will the fighters stay there, the ones that are still there? Because the best fights for Caleb Plant are honestly on DAZN. If you're talking about Edgar Berlanga or Jaime Munguia.
If he's staying at super middleweight, and I think that he is, those are the biggest of the big fights that he can have at super middleweight. Aside from the Canelo fight, which he already had and he already lost.
And Stephen?
Well, the PBC still has Brandon Figueroa, and the story is Brandon's supposed to be fighting Ray Vargas for his WBC title. So I guess that's enough to keep Stephen over there a while longer. But all the other belts, all the other titles, are on the top rank side of things, more or less.
Luis Lopez's IBF title, Rafael Espinosa's WBO.
Nick Ball's got the WBA, and Nick Ball's with Queensberry, but Queensberry does business with Top Rank, so it's all the same.
That a lot of the other titles and a lot of the major fights for Stephen Fulton, who's going to be fighting as a featherweight moving forward, a lot of them are on the top rank side of things. The only one you could have at the PBC in-house is a fight with the winner of Vargas versus Figueroa. But how long are you going to wait around for that?
Look at how long it's taken them to get you back out there. By the time you get back out there, it will have been over a year's time since you fought Inui.
All that time squandered for what is a rebound fight, what's supposed to be a Ronnie Rios fight. If he were with somebody else, they might have moved it along faster.
Yeah.
But that's the story. The PBC is set to do their first non-pay-per-view show on Amazon in August. We'll see if that actually materializes.